brilliant.
Okay.
It's frightening how relevant it is back in the 70s, that it's even more relevant today, what happened back then. So I'm just going to throw it out to Q&A. If you could just say who you are and where you're from.
Okay, my name's Rebecca Warren. I'm the treasurer of the Campaign Against Climate Change, as opposed to the Campaign Against Climate Change trade union group, which isn't quite the same thing. But I'm actually not going to ask about climate change. I was very interested in what you said about the defence diversification. Does that mean there is a realistic possibility that Labour might change its position on Trident? Because if so, I really want to support that.
Yes, I mean, as you know, Jeremy Corbyn, it's a hot potato, and he's kind of juggled it a bit. And you know, I couldn't claim to say what the Labour Party will actually do if it ever got into power, but yeah, I think there's the idea I mean, I think arms conversion, i.e. conversion away from arms production as a whole, to me is a bigger concept than defence diversification, which is about which kind of defence we want to adopt. But nonetheless, anything that, for example, potentially moves us away from Trident,
Well, it's a big one win. It means that it'll free up loads of money to be used for more useful things.
Well, yeah, of course, and what we would, certainly what Lucas' plan would be advocating is that money is used to develop alternative employment, sustainable alternative employment for those people.
There's already conference about this, the Campaign Against the Arms Trade Conference, not last year, it was 2 years ago. One thing I was specifically saying is how do we retrain people who in nuclear technology into renewables?
Yes.
Really very interesting talk. Sorry, Peter Ainsley, retired units number. I can recall the arguments around the original Lucas plan, etc., which was essentially about do we fight and spread the ideas, or do we produce the plan? And actually you've nuanced it for me, because I realised my conception was a bit crude, and the fact you held off and kept the jobs for another 10 years, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really positive thing. I think we can all think of good ideas. It seems to me what really should happen, though, is a process of struggle. Works in those industries will come up with the ideas. I mean, I think it's a kind of useful exercise to float. I'll float one idea, which is simply around buses, and bring back conductors, or actually transforming the buses so they're more people friendly and more disabled friendly. And then maybe you can have a rural area combined buses, which you might have a poetry bus going round, carrying people round, but also allowing there's lots of ideas you could have. I think the issue is about how we build up the struggles which will produce the ideas. Can I just, one question, which is the name of the film you mentioned?
Okay, the film is just called The Plan, and yeah, I think you will find a chunk of it at least on YouTube. Yeah.
And secondly, useful, it was produced in '79, pamphlet by Chris Harman, dealing with the impact of computerisation, automation, which listed all the issues, political issues, and also concrete demands which workers could make. Very useful pamphlet.
Okay.
Yes, you mentioned about the presumption that the workforce was basically sort of thick, to use a colloquial term. And my experience, my memory, I'm indulging in 1955 memory of being recruited as a Lucas apprentice in Liverpool. And the process was, I think there was trawling for managers, from my opinion. But Quarry Bank School had some students there. I was secondary modern Bootle Technical School. They didn't differentiate with intelligence of apprentices, it seemed. It seemed they wanted a good school recommendation of metal bashing, you know, and passing the 13 plus. And I found myself conscripted in a meta conscription at 16 in this 5-year apprenticeship. If I'd have deferred, if I'd have flunked it, I'd have been in the army, because we were registered as conscripts at 16, about the time of Suez. But nevertheless, what my question was is about your comments about the intelligence, whether workers could do it for themselves. Well, my experience was there were so much foreigners made at Victor Works, Lucas gas turbine equipment, that the tram track outside was thick with scrap metal from pokers and other bits of domestic stuff people had been making under the eyes of the aerospace testing house, which was pouring paraffin down to the drain. I won't go into that. But the test house, and what I'm saying is it's a colourful picture, because the down the road was English Electric. Some of our sports, we were drilled in quasi-military press-ups and things, and boxing during our time off as apprenticeship. But down the road was English Electric, and they were making fridges, as well as Blue Street Lightning thing. So there was a kind of mixture on Merseyside of domestic. The factory where I was employed 5 years before was making electric fires. XL Fire Company, electric fire for pre-war or post-war. Right? So it's an interesting. I can't say maybe answer it. It's an interesting a little indulgence for me as an apprentice, because it funnily enough, when I passed for my night school music exams, and I was spotted with manuscript paper in the Tech, Osborne Tech, 1 day a week, I suddenly got, during my apprenticeship, qualified to get a government grant from Harold Wilson's constituency to go to college. And when they said, oh, Mr. Newton here, you failed your apprenticeship by your failure of the Ordinary National Civic and Electricity, I said, but I've got into college. This is before my apprenticeship finished. To the day, I never got called up. But that could be a reason for extraordinary. So it's a very interesting thing you said about the quality of the intellectual input. There were mostly Birmingham people running the automatic machines in the top shop.
If we
I noticed. So
just keep the questions short, because we are short of time.
Yeah,
so,
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your contribution.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned a number of David Oswald. You mentioned a number of reasons why the Lucas plan didn't work at the end of the day. My understanding of it, it didn't actually get a great deal of support from the TUC, and there was quite a lot of inter-union opposition. Do you think that we've moved on since then?
Ooh, good question.
I would like to think so. I don't think that is true. I do think, I think the key strength that enabled them to produce something so kind of groundbreaking and innovative and different was precisely the fact that it was produced by Shop Stewards Combine. That there was grassroots, trade unionists from different unions able to work together in the way that the union bureaucracies never could, and indeed
That was at the local level though, but at the national level there was not a national support.
The company across was pretty much a national company, and it was all over the UK. But the general point you're making is correct, that the trade union movement did not like what they were doing and tried various ways to obstruct it. And I do think it's that may not have changed that much.
Can we take one more question and then
Take
did you want to move on to that?
Yeah, I think so. Let's
Sorry, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity as the session goes on.
Just as another example,
If you can just say who you are and where you're from as well.
my name's Gordon Peters. I'm in Unite as a retired person, community branch Haringey. There was a period in the 1970s when Upper Clyde Shipbuilders, UCS, through the Joint Ship Stewards Committee, actually carried on for, I think it was about 18 months, not only building, launching, and even marketing ships. Yeah, some were already on the stocks, some were only paper plans. So I just wondered, has anybody ever brought together the lessons from, or thought about doing that? Not just Lucas, in case people argue back and say, well, that was a kind of one-off, but Lucas, learning from Lucas' plan, which I remember as well, and Mike Cooley's stuff, and UCS, which actually was the workers for 18 months, until eventually Heath Government said it can't carry on. But for a
Yeah.
while they said it was successful, you know? I mean, it did a lot within a capitalist world
Yeah.
to say workers can do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it just strikes me that it might be worth pulling these things together as lessons for the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one group of people that tried to did a lot of that kind of work was called the Institute of Workers' Control
Right.
in the 80s and 90s. Ken Coates and a bunch of other people did, and there's a lot of useful, very interesting stuff in their archive about that. I do think, ultimately, it will have to be rebuilt from the bottom up. And as I said, that's one of the things that the Lucas Plan Group is very interested in doing is reaching out to grassroots trade unionists.
Okay,
I was
thanks
gonna,
very much. I didn't realise there was another set of
pass
them, I thought
these.
we were going to have to share.
sorry, you pass those round. So I just
They've
want
been round.
Yeah,
Or did it go
no, I
through?
thought that
Sorry.
was all that we had, that small pile, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
because
no.
I was giving it out so you can share
But it didn't
in a very environmentally friendly way.
Okay, so I just want to.
Give me
Paper.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you this list of ideas, and I thought if we get into some small groups, we can have a look at those ideas and talk about them, or it will be very interesting to talk about your own ideas for what we really mean by socially useful production. For example, from a feminist perspective, what do we mean by socially useful production? That's something I'd be very interested in hearing about, and likewise from a anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist perspective, what do we mean by socially useful production? But I just wanted to just point to you to emphasise one point I made in this talk. If you look at the list of Mike Cooley's things, all of the first 6 are about the manufacturing process. They're not about what we actually produce. It's a very kind of detailed bit of thinking about what we really mean by socially. And I just mentioned, and if you look at number 11, I think that in many ways sums up the key aspect of the philosophy. That products and processes should be such that it can be controlled by human beings rather than reversed. That's always been the tendency in industrial capitalist technology, is that the machine controls the worker and not vice versa.